You've got the other song you and Andrew just recently played acoustically is "A Life in Your Hands." There's a line from that song that doesn't seem to have as much scriptural, just direct scriptural backing from it. I want to read it to you, and I want you to give me your thoughts on it. It says, "Oh good God, you're a fire in a field, and I'm a traveler far from home. Would your light show me the way?" Where did that line come from?
Yeah. Well, this song in general sort of has these sort of metaphors or sort of images of the ways that God might lead us, and that's definitely one of them. I think the first verse is, talks about God being a wave and being led by His current, and then there's sort of following this fire in the field sort of picture, and then. From a lyrical standpoint and from a musical standpoint, sort of leading to the end of the song, which is more of a build-up kind of sort of epic end musically, and that's at the point where the lyrics say, a life in your hands I am, and I think that. So yeah, I think the song to me is very much about recognizing God's ability to lead us, asking that He do that, and then sort of surrendering to that, I suppose, and that's difficult. That's difficult to do, but it's definitely something that seems important, and especially on a personal note. And I think for all the guys in the band at the time of life that we're in right now, it's sort of trying to figure out what we're doing, where we're going, where things are headed, and so that's a very pertinent topic for us.
Well, to that end, from what we've heard so far, not to maybe a bit of a spoiler, but the first line of the album is I've been crying for a while now. Seems much more serious than maybe what you guys were singing 2 years ago or what was on the EP. Was that a conscious decision? Was it just something that kind of happened? Did something happen in your lives that made such a shift from not that your previous stuff was even upbeat or lighthearted, but that it was this just seems much more serious than your previous stuff?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think that there's several levels in which we've been dealing with this whole idea of I'm gonna try and not kill us. Dealing with this whole idea of hope and suffering, but some of that has been present in our personal lives. It's also been something that we've been seeing and learning by watching the lives of those around us, and there's been some people close to us that have gone through things while we were writing this album. Our pastor of our church losing a child, and things like that have been happening around us and that we've seen, and so it has been something that we've sort of struggled through, and I think is definitely a main theme of the album. And so yeah, I think that was certainly a focus, in a lot of the songs point to that, and what we hope is that over the course of the album that you see sort of the coming out of that into a brighter end of things that's more full of hope, and I hope that we try to very much keep that idea of hope present in all the songs. There's not many songs that are left unresolved in that sense, but yeah, there's definitely is a theme, and that's definitely something that we've gone through the past year or two, just in our lives and people around us, for sure. So
kind of along the same tone of this album being a little more maybe intense isn't the right word, but a little more serious. Lyrically, obviously, What Love talks about a prostitute getting married. There's been this controversy with Derek Webb. One of his songs wasn't allowed to be on the label because he said a word that quite honestly can be heard in a PG movie these days. David Crowder changed Sloppy White Kisses in order to make more people hear his music. Is that a concern you guys have, that some people won't get to hear your music? Because not that your lyrics are in any way explicit or bad, but that they are different than what you might hear on Christian radio.
It's not a concern I've had, but mostly that, just to be honest, that's probably just because I don't. It's hard for me to consider mass amounts of people hearing our music at this point. Obviously, we want that, you know, in the sense of you want to share this with people. But if I'm being honest, that's not a concern I've had. I think that from a lyrical standpoint, and I can't quite, you know, can't really speak for guys like Derek Webb or John Michael McMillan or David Crowder in those situations that they've been in. I do know that there are those pressures and things that certain people are comfortable with and other people aren't. For us and for me personally, from a lyrical perspective, you know, we do think that it's important to try and say things in a way that's maybe different than it's been said before. There's a lot of great music out there, and there's a lot of Christians making music, and what we don't want to be is just sort of just a copy and another version of saying the same thing. We sort of want to try and say things in a different way, and there are these truths that we sort of all believe in as Christians that we think can be said in various ways, and that's what makes them very beautiful. And so in some of these cases, like, we've tried to use, you know, for me personally, I've tried to use lyrics that you know, to the best of my ability, express those things, and sometimes that includes, you know, maybe a word like prostitute or you know, the word whore or something like that, which you know is offensive in the sense that it is not a good word. You know, these are not positive things, but I think that is the point. I'm not sure if you can always express ideas like that in flowery, neat, clean language, because they're, you know, the metaphor that we're making, you know, when we talk about us being a prostitute and God being a pure groom who wants to marry us, that's not a neat, clean metaphor. That's a messy thing, and so I think it's okay if it's expressed in that way. And yeah, I would hope that it doesn't offend people, and you know, we don't want to turn people off, but you know,
right?
What can you do, I guess?
Looking forward.